In 1943, as the world burned through its deadliest conflict, Qantas attempted the near impossible, a restricted wartime route from Perth to Sri Lanka, bypassing Japanese-occupied territory entirely. The flight covered nearly 5,700 kilometers over the Indian Ocean, with extremely limited diversion options. Pilots called it the double sunrise because the journey was so long that the sun rose twice. At the time, it pushed the airline to its absolute limits. The consolidated PBY Catalina was stripped of all non-essential weight. Fuel calculations left minimal margins for error. One navigation mistake meant death in the ocean. That flight proved something that would echo through aviation for the next 8 decades. Geography is the ultimate constraint. You either work around it or you lose. For most of the 21st century, the Middle East understood this better than anyone. The Arabian Peninsula sits at the precise intersection of 3 continents: Europe to the north, Asia to the east, Africa to the west, and for decades, one city exploited that geography more ruthlessly than any other: Dubai. Emirates, backed by Dubai's ruling Al Maktoum family, built arguably the most successful airline in modern history by turning a patch of desert into the world's most powerful connecting hub. Passengers flying London to Sydney, Paris to Singapore, Frankfurt to Melbourne, routed through Dubai. Geography always wins. But in March 2023, Saudi Arabia announced something that challenges that assumption entirely. Not a single new route, not a fleet refresh, a $100 billion aviation megaproject encompassing a brand new airline called Riyadh Air, a 57 square kilometer mega airport called King Salman International, and firm orders for hundreds of aircraft for local airlines, including Riyadh Air. But here's what makes no sense. Saudi Arabia already has a national airline. Saudia has operated since 1945. The kingdom's airports already function. Riyadh Air won't carry a single passenger that Emirates can't already serve. It can't match Emirates' brand recognition built over 40 years. It can't replicate Turkish Airlines' 340 international destinations overnight. Yet every major Gulf carrier is watching this project with genuine alarm. Emirates, Qatar Airways, Etihad, and Turkish Airlines are all recalculating their strategies because of what Riyadh represents. So, how can a startup airline with zero operational history threaten empires built by decades of dominance? To understand why Saudi Arabia is betting $100 billion on aviation, we need to understand why the kingdom was locked out of the global transit game for so long. The physics of hub aviation are deceptively simple. Passengers traveling between 2 distant cities can stop somewhere. The hub that sits geographically closest to the midpoint of the most lucrative city pairs captures the most connecting traffic. Dubai sits approximately 5,500 kilometers from London and roughly 6,100 kilometers from Singapore. That positioning is nearly perfect for funneling east-west traffic. Emirates recognized this in the 1980s and built accordingly. Massive wide-body aircraft, such as the Boeing 777 or the Airbus A380, carried enormous passenger loads through a single megahub. Every route fed Dubai. Every connection reinforced Dubai's dominance. By March 2025, Emirates operated 260 aircraft to 148 destinations, carrying over 50 million passengers annually since the end of the pandemic. Qatar Airways replicated the model from Doha. Etihad attempted it from Abu Dhabi. Turkish Airlines executed it from Istanbul. Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, focused inward. Saudia served Hajj and Umrah pilgrims arriving in Jeddah. It connected domestic cities across the kingdom's vast landmass. It operated international routes, yes, but never as a serious global contender. As a result, hundreds of thousands of passengers flew over Saudi airspace every single day, connecting through Dubai, Doha, and Istanbul, spending their money in foreign airports, contributing to foreign economies. Saudi Arabia possessed the geography, but had never built the infrastructure to exploit it. Riyadh sits approximately 4,800 kilometers from London, roughly 5,900 kilometers from Singapore, around 6,200 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur. The positioning is competitive with Dubai on almost every major east-west corridor, but positioning without infrastructure is worthless, and that's exactly what $100 billion is designed to change. In March 2023, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's public investment fund launched Riyadh Air from a blank sheet of paper. Not a subsidiary of Saudia, not a rebrand, an entirely new airline designed specifically to challenge the Gulf carriers at their own game. The founding CEO selection revealed the seriousness immediately. Tony Douglas, former chief executive of Etihad Airways, the man who had restructured Abu Dhabi's carrier after its failed investment spree, was appointed to lead Riyadh Air. He brought intimate knowledge of exactly how Gulf megacarriers operate, their cost structures, their network logic, their vulnerabilities. Within weeks, Riyadh Air placed its foundational fleet order, 39 Boeing 787-9 Dreamliners, with options for 33 more. Then, 60 Airbus A321neos for regional operations. Then, at the Paris Air Show in June 2025, the flagship order, 25 A350-1000s with options for 25 additional frames, bringing the total order book to 182 aircraft. But the fleet composition tells a strategic story that goes far beyond aircraft count. Emirates built its empire on the Airbus A380, a 4-engine, 500-plus seat behemoth, designed to funnel maximum passengers through a single hub. Riyadh Air has ordered 0 A380s. Instead, it selected the 787-9 and the A350-1000, both twin-engine, fuel-efficient widebodies, optimized for point-to-point flying with lower passenger loads. Why does this matter? Because Emirates needs to fill 500 seats to make an A380 route work. Riyadh Air needs to fill roughly 300. That means Riyadh Air can profitably serve city pairs that Emirates would never consider with its existing fleet. The A350-1000 selection was particularly telling. Riyadh Air evaluated the Boeing 777X, the natural successor to Emirates' 777-300ER workhorse. This wasn't just procurement, it was a deliberate architectural choice to build the anti-Emirates from the airframe up. But an airline without a hub is just metal in the sky, and this is where the scale of Saudi Arabia's ambition becomes genuinely staggering. King Salman International Airport, currently under construction on a 57 square kilometer site in northern Riyadh, is designed to be one of the largest aviation facilities ever built. For context, London Heathrow occupies roughly 12 square kilometers. Dubai International, the world's busiest airport, spans about 29 square kilometers. King Salman International will be nearly twice the size of Dubai's facility. The specifications read like science fiction. 6 parallel runways, up from the current 2, 7 terminals, capacity for 120 million passengers annually by 2030, scaling to 185 million by 2050. Flight operations projected to leap from 211,000 to over 1 million annually. As of early 2026, the third runway has begun earthworks, as the new airport will be built around Riyadh's existing King Khalid International Airport. Terminal 6 construction is underway. A dedicated private aviation terminal is taking shape. This isn't incremental expansion. Saudi Arabia is building from desert sand, a facility designed to rival and eventually surpass Dubai International Airport in raw capacity. The infrastructure is being constructed to handle a volume of traffic that doesn't yet exist. A bet that if you build the hub, the traffic will follow. The significance of Riyadh Air isn't really about one airline challenging Emirates, and it isn't about one airport competing with Dubai. It's about what a $100 billion integrated ecosystem can do to an entire region's competitive assumptions. You see, Saudi Arabia isn't replacing Saudia with Riyadh Air, it's running both simultaneously under a deliberately segmented dual-hub strategy. And this distinction changes everything. Saudia, the legacy carrier founded in 1945, is being repositioned around Jeddah's King Abdulaziz International Airport. Its mission is religious tourism. Hajj and Umrah pilgrimages generate consistent, enormous demand. Millions of passengers annually arriving from across the Muslim world, flowing through Jeddah. Saudia owns this market. In May 2024, Saudi Group ordered 105 Airbus A320neo family aircraft to support this domestic and regional expansion, pushing its total narrowbody backlog to 144 planes. Meanwhile, Saudi is simultaneously expanding long-haul. Starting July 2026, its Boeing 787-9 Dreamliners will fly from Jeddah to Washington Dulles. Riyadh Air, by contrast, is designed purely as a global premium connector. Business travelers, high-yield leisure passengers, and critically, the east-west transfer traffic that currently flows through Dubai and Doha. Saudi Arabia isn't launching one challenger airline, it's deploying an entire aviation ecosystem. 2 national carriers serving distinct market segments, fed by the largest airport construction project on Earth, backed by a sovereign wealth fund worth over $900 billion in assets. Emirates is one airline operating through one hub. Qatar Airways is one airline operating through one hub. Saudi Arabia is building a multi-carrier, multi-hub, multi-segment system designed to capture traffic at every price point and every travel motivation simultaneously. Flynus, the kingdom's largest low-cost carrier, is simultaneously growing its fleet with orders for 280 Airbus aircraft. Flyadeal, another budget operator under the Saudi Group umbrella, is adding A330-900 widebodies for long-haul low-cost operations starting in 2026. The combined Saudi fleet expansion across all carriers represents well over 500 aircraft on order. The mathematics become overwhelming. Emirates operates 260 planes. Qatar Airways operates around 270. Saudi Arabia's combined carrier fleet, when these orders deliver, could approach 600 aircraft across 4 distinct airlines, each targeting different market segments, all feeding into interconnected Saudi hubs. No single Saudi carrier matches Emirates alone, but the system does. What makes Riyadh Air's competitive position even more unusual is its technological architecture. In partnership with IBM, Riyadh Air is being engineered as what companies call the world's first AI-native airline. IBM's Watson X platform, it's being integrated across 59 operational workstreams, unifying technologies from over 60 partners, including Apple, Adobe, and Flyer. The practical implication is significant. Legacy carriers like Emirates and Qatar Airways operate on IT systems accumulated over decades, patched and layered and constrained by technical debt. Riyadh Air starts clean, but the technological advantage collides with a cultural constraint that no amount of AI can solve. Saudi Arabia prohibits alcohol. Riyadh Air could launch as a dry airline. No champagne in business class, no wine with dinner, no whiskey in the lounge. This matters enormously in premium aviation. Emirates operates on-board bars in its A380s. Qatar Airways serves Dom Perignon in its Q-Suite. The premium transatlantic and trans-Pacific traveler, precisely the demographic Riyadh Air needs to capture, associates luxury air travel with fine dining and premium beverages. At the moment, alcohol is prohibited within the kingdom. This forces Riyadh Air into an unusual competitive position. It must overcompensate through cabin hardware, service quality, pricing, and connectivity to offset what many premium travelers will perceive as a fundamental product gap. The airline is betting that schedule convenience, modern aircraft, and competitive pricing can outweigh the absence of a bar cart. Most airlines cannot replicate what Saudi Arabia is building. The barriers extend far beyond financial resources. Network geometry presents the first obstacle. Emirates' entire model depends on Dubai as the connecting point. Every route feeds the hub. Every connection reinforces it. You can't transplant that model to Riyadh without abandoning Dubai, and you obviously can't abandon Dubai. Fleet composition creates another barrier. Emirates' A380 fleet, while iconic, is optimized for mega-hub operations, high-capacity aircraft feeding a single point. Riyadh Air's 787 and A350 fleet is optimized for network flexibility, something Emirates' fleet simply cannot match without a fundamental, multi-billion-dollar fleet transition. Institutional inertia runs deep. Emirates, Qatar Airways, and Turkish Airlines have spent decades optimizing their current models. Their IT systems, their crew bases, their maintenance operations, their commercial partnerships, everything is built around existing hub structures. Pivoting requires years of painful restructuring. Then there's the captive market advantage. Saudi Arabia's population exceeds 35 million people. The entire UAE population is roughly 11 million. Qatar's population is just over 3 million. Riyadh Air starts with a massive base of origin and destination traffic. That reduces its dependence on the hyper-competitive, lower-margin connecting passenger. Emirates needs connecting traffic to fill its A380s. Riyadh Air can profitably operate routes using local demand alone on many city pairs. A new airline with 100-plus markets will be fighting for every possible connecting passenger, from Europe to Southeast Asia, from Africa to China. When established carriers still route over 80% of their traffic through their hubs, competition will be increased. It's inevitable. Yet perhaps the most dangerous element for incumbents isn't the competition itself, it's the demonstration effect. Saudi Arabia is proving that a well-capitalized state can build a competitive aviation ecosystem from scratch in under a decade. That proof of concept reverberates far beyond the Middle East. Every nation sitting on a geographic crossroads, every sovereign wealth fund watching Riyadh Air's launch is recalculating whether the existing hub order is truly permanent. With Riyadh Air and the whole airline system that the country is building, Saudi Arabia is proposing something fundamentally different from its neighbors' airline projects. Strategic impact can be disproportionate to any single airline's scale. Riyadh Air alone doesn't replace Emirates. Saudia alone doesn't threaten Qatar Airways. King Salman International Airport alone doesn't render Dubai irrelevant. But the system, the integrated, state-funded, deliberately segmented system, creates something no single competitor can easily counter. A premium carrier for business travelers, a legacy carrier for religious tourism, a low-cost carrier for price-sensitive passengers, a mega airport designed to handle them all, and $100 billion in sovereign capital, ensuring that none of it runs out of funding before reaching critical mass. Emirates will definitely not disappear. Qatar Airways isn't going to collapse. Turkish Airlines will continue operating the world's largest international network. The great connecting hubs will continue serving the majority of global travelers. But the assumption that the Gulf's aviation hierarchy was settled, that Dubai and Doha had permanently captured the region's connecting traffic, that Saudi Arabia would remain a domestic aviation market focused on pilgrims, that assumption is now definitively dead. The Delta Airlines codeshare partnership with Riyadh Air, announced through SkyTeam Alliance alignment, signals something the entire industry understands. The Americans, the most commercially pragmatic aviation operators on Earth, are betting that this project reaches scale. That is not a trivial endorsement. Saudi Arabia is building something that represents the complete opposite, not a compromise forced by circumstance, a deliberate, calculated $100 billion decision to construct from scratch what no single airline or airport project has ever attempted. An entire aviation ecosystem engineered to challenge the most successful hub model in modern history. When those first Riyadh Air passengers board a Boeing 787-9, they'll be flying on an airline that didn't exist 3 years earlier, departing an airport that didn't exist 5 years earlier, backed by a strategy that the entire industry dismissed as impossible a decade earlier. A startup airline, a mega airport still under construction, a handful of initial routes, and proof that sometimes the most significant shifts in aviation don't come from optimizing existing systems. Sometimes they come from building entirely new ones, from leveraging geography that was always there but never exploited, from spending $100 billion to prove that the world's established aviation hierarchy was never as permanent as it appeared. The question isn't whether Saudi Arabia can build the anti-Emirates. Construction has already begun. It's whether the rest of the industry is really paying attention. Hey, before you go, the YouTube algorithm thinks you're going to like this video next, so why not check it out?